Daniel spent 8 months building a dropshipping store after watching a YouTube video that promised him $10,000 a month in passive income. He picked the products, built the site, ran the ads, wrote the copy, handled the customer complaints, and processed the refunds. 8 months of evenings and weekends. And at the end of it, he'd made $340 and spent $1,200 on ads. That's not passive income, that's an unpaid second job with worse hours. Here's what nobody in the passive income space wants to say out loud. Most of what gets sold as passive income is either active income wearing a disguise, or it requires so much money upfront that the people who need it most can't access it. The real version, the kind that actually exists and actually works, is quieter, slower, and looks nothing like the thumbnails. My name is Mike, and today we're going to do something the passive income industry genuinely hates. We're going to be honest about what's realistic and what's a sales pitch. Because there are real ways to build income that doesn't require you to show up every day. But the path there looks completely different from what most people are being told. Before we get into it, I'm not a financial advisor and this isn't financial advice. These are patterns I've observed and ideas worth thinking about carefully before acting on. Your situation is your situation, and what works depends entirely on your starting point. Keep that in mind as we go through this. Now, one thing I want you to hold on to, because I'll come back to it at the end, every legitimate passive income stream has one thing in common, and it's not the one people talk about. Hold on to that. Let's start with what passive income actually means, because the definition most people are working with is broken. True passive income is money that continues arriving after the active work stops. The key word is continues. Not money you earn while working, not money from a side hustle that requires your constant attention, not income that collapses the moment you stop showing up. The test is simple. If you disappeared for 3 months, would the money still come in? Most things people call passive income fail that test immediately. This matters because it changes how you evaluate every idea on this list. Not whether it sounds good, but whether it eventually passes the disappear test. Now, let's talk about what's actually realistic, starting with the ones that require the least money and moving toward the ones that require more. Idea number 1 is dividend investing. And it's the most boring, most reliable, most unsexy passive income stream that exists. Here's how it works. Certain companies distribute a portion of their profits to shareholders on a regular schedule, usually quarterly. You own the shares, you receive the cash. You don't have to do anything. The money arrives because you own a piece of a business that's generating profit. The math is straightforward. A dividend yield of around 3% to 4% on a $50,000 portfolio generates roughly $1,500 to $2,000 per year in passive income. Not life-changing on its own. But that income compounds if you reinvest it, and it grows as you add to the portfolio over time. The realistic version of this takes years, not months. You're not replacing your income with dividends on year 1. You're building a machine that pays you more every year as long as you keep feeding it. The people who benefit most from dividend investing started boring and stayed consistent for a long time. Index funds that focus on dividend-paying stocks are the low-maintenance version. You buy in, you reinvest, you wait. The disappear test? If you vanish for 3 months, the dividends keep arriving. This one passes. Idea number 2 is high-yield savings and money market accounts, and yes, this counts. At current rates, a high-yield savings account is paying somewhere around 4% to 5% annually. On $20,000 sitting in that account, that's $800 to $1,000 a year in interest for doing absolutely nothing except not putting your money in the wrong place. This isn't glamorous. Nobody's making a YouTube video about the time they earned $900 in savings account interest. But it's real money for zero effort, it's federally insured, and it's completely liquid. The people who ignore this and leave money in a big bank account paying 0.01% are paying an invisible tax on their own cash every single year. If you have an emergency fund sitting in a near zero account, moving it takes about 10 minutes and earns you real money on money you were already keeping anyway. That's as close to free passive income as anything on this list. Idea number 3 is licensing what you already know. And this is the one most people completely overlook. If you have a skill, expertise, or body of knowledge that other people need, There are ways to package it once and sell it repeatedly, without being there for each transaction. An online course is the obvious version: a template pack, a digital guide, a swipe file, a spreadsheet system, things that solve a specific problem for a specific person and can be downloaded at 3 a.m. without you being awake. The honest version of this is that building the thing is active work. Real, hard, unglamorous work. Writing the course, recording the modules, building the landing page, figuring out how to reach the people who need it. None of that is passive. But once it exists, and once you've found a reliable way to get it in front of the right people, the income can continue without your constant presence. The ratio shifts. You do the work once up front, and the returns stretch over time. That's the passive income model that actually functions in the real world. The realistic expectation here is not $10,000 a month from a course you built in a weekend. It's building something genuinely useful for a specific audience, finding a consistent traffic source, and watching it earn steadily over months and years. The people who succeed at this treat the upfront work like an investment, not an overnight lottery ticket. Idea number 4 is rental income. And this one requires the most honest conversation on this entire list. Real estate generates real passive income. That part is true. Rent arrives every month from a tenant living in a property you own. If you have good tenants and a property manager, you can genuinely be hands off for long stretches. But here's what the passive income crowd conveniently leaves out: you need a significant amount of capital to get started. Down payments on investment properties typically run 20% to 25%. On a $250,000 property, that's $50,000 to $62,000 in cash before you've paid a single closing cost or maintenance expense. For most people reading this, that's not accessible right now. And pretending otherwise is dishonest. The properties that actually cash flow positively after mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, and vacancy are harder to find than they used to be. And being a landlord, especially without a property manager, is genuinely active work. Tenants call, things break, vacancies happen. This is not a disappear for 3 months income stream unless you're paying someone else to manage it, which eats into your returns. If you have the capital and the patience for the learning curve, rental income is one of the most time-tested wealth builders that exists. If you don't have the capital yet, this isn't the starting point. It's the destination you work toward while building the foundation first. Idea number 5 is REITs, which are essentially real estate income without owning actual property. A real estate investment trust is a company that owns and operates income-producing real estate, and by law, it must distribute at least 90% of its taxable income to shareholders. You buy shares the way you'd buy a stock, and you receive regular distributions from the rental income and property sales happening inside the trust. The yield on REITs varies, but often runs higher than standard dividend stocks, sometimes in the 4% to 7% range depending on the type. And unlike owning a property, the minimum investment is whatever a single share costs. You're not locked in. You're not responsible for maintenance. You're not getting calls at midnight about a broken water heater. The trade-off is that you don't control the underlying assets and you don't benefit from the leverage that direct property ownership provides. But as a way to get exposure to real estate income without the capital requirements and active management of owning property outright, REITs are one of the most underused tools on this list. Idea number 6 is affiliate income through content, and this one deserves the most careful framing. If you create content, a blog, a YouTube channel, a newsletter, a podcast, you can recommend products and services relevant to your audience and earn a commission when people purchase through your link. The income can continue long after the content is published. A blog post written 3 years ago can still send traffic and generate commissions today if it ranks well and covers a topic people keep searching for. But here is the honest version that most passive income content skips entirely. Building an audience takes a long time. Most channels and blogs that generate meaningful affiliate income have years of content behind them. The compounding effect is real, but the early period is almost entirely unrewarded active work. You're creating content, publishing consistently, learning what resonates, building an audience, and earning very little while you do it. The people who eventually build meaningful passive income from content are not the ones who treated it as a side project they drop if it didn't pay quickly. They're the ones who treated it like a long-term investment, stayed consistent through the slow period, and built something genuinely useful for a specific audience. If you're willing to do that work for 12 to 36 months with uncertain returns and no guarantee of outcome, content-based affiliate income is real and it scales. If you're looking for something that pays in the next 90 days, this is not it. Idea number 7 is peer-to-peer lending and bond laddering, which are the least glamorous ideas on this list and two of the most reliable. Bond laddering involves buying bonds with staggered maturity dates so that income arrives at regular intervals. Treasury bonds, I bonds, and similar instruments pay you interest on a schedule. The returns are modest, the risk is low, the income is predictable, it's not exciting, it works. Peer-to-peer lending platforms allow you to act as the lender rather than the borrower, earning interest on loans made to individuals or small businesses. The returns can be higher than bonds, but come with higher default risk. Diversifying across many small loans reduces the risk of any single default wiping out your returns. Neither of these will make you rich quickly. Both of them pay you money on a schedule for money you've already committed. For the portion of your portfolio you want stable, predictable income from without market volatility, these deserve more attention than they get. Now, I want to come back to what I asked you to hold on to at the beginning. Every legitimate passive income stream has one thing in common, and it's not the thing people talk about. It's not the yield, it's not the platform, it's not the strategy. It's that every single one of them requires you to give something up first before the income starts arriving. Dividend investing requires you to accumulate capital and leave it invested. Licensing your knowledge requires months of upfront work. Rental income requires significant capital and patience through the learning curve. Content requires years of consistent creation before it compounds into something real. The passive income industry makes money by selling you the after picture without showing you the before. The effortless income stream without the years of effort that built it. The cash arriving while you sleep without showing you the work that happened while you were awake. Real passive income isn't passive at the start, it's the result of active choices made consistently over time, eventually reaching a point where the machine runs without you. The timeline is longer than the ads suggest. The starting point is more work than the thumbnail show, and the destination, when you actually get there, looks exactly like what was promised. It just takes the path nobody was selling you. Pick one stream from this list, the one that matches your current resources and timeline honestly, and start moving toward it this week, not all 7. 1. Because the people who build real passive income don't chase every opportunity. They go deep on one thing long enough for the compounding to start working. 10 years from now, you'll either have built something that pays you while you sleep, or you'll be watching another video about how someone else did it. The difference is which one you start treating as a priority today. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor and this video is for educational purposes only. Any results depend entirely on your own decisions. I'll see you in the next one.